Welcome to episode 21 of the 24-Hour Hustle Show, and today we got special guests, co-founders of StudioMe, Joe Leachko and Keith Parish. Welcome to the 24-Hour Hustle Show. I'm your host, Anthony Freeze, and today we got special guests of owners of StudioMe, which is actually where we shoot all of our episodes here, and it is definitely a great honor and a privilege to have you guys here. Quick story, just to give some context to how we all met. Actually, when I was looking for studio space back in August of 2017, I was almost thinking about shooting them in people's houses. I had no idea how we were going to pull it off, how we were going to do this, and I hadn't known about this space. And I was messaging someone over Facebook, and she's like, "Have you ever heard about StudioMe?" I'm like, she's like, "It's right in East Liberty." And I'm thinking to myself, that's like 5 minutes away from where I live. And you actually had an event, a speed networking event, late August, and I happened to look on you guys' page. You guys had the event going on, and it was right after when I was getting off of work, so I figured, hey, I might as well kill two birds with one stone, do some networking, check out the place, and got a chance to meet you guys. And actually, the day before, I actually messaged you, not even realizing you were the owner, and I was like, hey, you gonna be at the event? Because I was trying to, connect with people beforehand, and you were like, yeah, I actually own the place. I'm like, nice. I'm like, cool. So,
Small world.
Exactly. Yeah. So, definitely glad to have you guys on.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I remember that meeting, and you saying you were going to do the show, and we get a good amount of people that say they're going to do something and then never follow through. Mm-hmm. And here we are. Like, what episode number?
So
is this?
21, almost. Wow. So our first episode was September 22nd. This is pretty much 6 months later.
Wow. Who's going to be the big 24? Because I feel like that's got to be something.
24 is going to be the big number.
Somebody special.
Yeah, it will be. So definitely glad to have you guys on. So for those people who are watching right now who don't know who you are, give us a little bit about your background and tell us about yourselves.
Sure. Do you want to know about the studio or about us?
Well, about you first, and then we'll get into the business.
Cool. So my background, I'm Keith Parish. My background is video production, and it's something I've been doing since I was very young. About 13 years old is when I started getting into it, and starting to take it seriously. And my background's video. So in 2007, I started a video company called Parish Digital Video, which it still exists. So I also do that. And we work with everyone from small business up to larger corporations on a pretty wide range of projects.
Mm. Yeah. Awesome.
Yep, and I'm Joe Leachko, and I come from the marketing world for trade shows, storefronts, and everything like that. I help build experiences through the space. How to market those spaces, and there are a few of us in the room here who all went to the Art Institute. Yeah. I went to the Art Institute, came here in 2007, and have stayed ever since, and this is what I call home. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we also call it home, too, because we shoot all of our shows here. And like I said, at that time when I was thinking about putting this on and trying to find a good location, thank God this place was here, because, I wouldn't have known how we were going to be able to pull it off and actually pull it off with good quality. Right. So I'm definitely thankful for the space. I utilize it as much as possible. I think I'm like one of the top people that use the space.
You are, thank you.
So no problem.
Consistently.
So definitely appreciate you guys for coming on. So let's get into you guys' stories a little bit and how you guys got inspired to even do a lot of the things that you do. You say marketing and getting into video. What even inspired you guys to get into the line of work that you guys do?
Well, for me, I don't know. It was ever since I was a little kid. I've been very career focused, and maybe that was a product of growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, and everybody's like, you can be anything. What do you want to be when you grow up? And so I thought about it from a young age, and at that time I wanted to be a paleontologist, and so I knew every single dinosaur that there was.
Okay.
And I was really into that until I discovered on a vacation one year I was filming. I took my dad's video camera and I was filming sort of our home movie, and just sort of became addicted and became passionate about that, and quickly changed my career goals.
Okay.
To wanting to do whatever it took to be, video producer. I mean, at that time, my options were really like Hollywood or working as a person for another larger production company.
Mm-hmm.
so I never really thought about starting my own video business until much later. But,
So real quick, what was it about video that really did it for you?
Well, I guess the one thing that I feel really lucky is that I found something I was really passionate about at a very young age, and it also I just naturally very visually oriented. So I think that those two things combining, it doesn't guarantee success. You still have to put the work in, but those two things I think made me very lucky that I discovered early on. And I don't know what it was specifically about video, but it's, you know, even today when I watch TV and films, I'm sort of picking it apart and like why they chose a certain angle or a certain lighting to tell the story, and it's just something that I feel like I've always done. Where it came from, I don't know if I can tell you.
More just have like a creative mindset.
Yeah, I guess so. Again, just visually oriented. I think.
Cool. How about you?
I'm kind of the same way when it came to design. I've always been creative, but had a realistic side to creativity at the same time growing up. My dad was super black and white when it came to understanding information. My mom's super creative and all the gray area in between that. So I had a nice combination. And I'm just like Keith, very visual. I care about how things look, or something that sits in a certain spot in a room. It might bother me, or the way the lights are and stuff. So I've always had this creative like niche on me and on my personality, and be able to balance that. So, you know, kind of getting into design and going to the Art Institute and doing industrial design, there was like a whole breadth of things I could get into after that, you know, and I could take it many different places and many different areas. So, yeah, and then, you know, inspiration towards us working together and like starting StudioMe. We just knew we had to do something together, because we knew we shared a lot of the same values, and we shared a lot of the same ideas, and our
Same
work
drive.
ethic.
Yeah.
Same drive. Our work ethic is kind of crazy, and we could relate to each other that way. And we didn't know what to start really to begin with. We just knew we had to do something together because we saw the value in it. So that's kind of like our little inspiration going into it. And even for me to like turn that corner to say I want to start my own thing was, this was like 3 years ago, just over 3 years ago. My father passed very abruptly, very quickly.
Sorry to hear that.
And so, thanks. And we lost a house, lost some cars. Like, I had to move my mom, my brother into a different place. And they're in Ohio. So I was doing that every single weekend for 6 months, going back home and like trying to pick up the pieces and like make things work. And I realized that I could lose everything so quickly, you know, that fast, but I could gain it so, you know, just as fast too if I were to build something I truly love to do. And I like building things, I like creating things. So it was kind of a godsend when him and I reconnected as friends over the years, and it's like, we should do something together, you know. And it was like that time, it just felt really, really good to figure it out. So,
Right.
yeah.
So this actually may be a great opportunity to take advantage of having a dual episode and co-founders as well. First of all, how did you two meet? And then how, you know, because, and then also for people that, you know, are looking to maybe have partners in starting something together, tell us about that dynamic a little bit more, and how you guys even start to form that business partnership outside of just having a friendship.
So we met in the men's locker room at the gym. Connected eyes and just knew that.
Is this serious?
Yeah.
Kind of.
is.
So we had previously.
Kind of is. Kind of serious. We're
Kinda
serious.
is. Go to the gym.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we met at Gold's Gym downtown years and years ago.
Like
It
2009.
was a small gym. Everybody says hi to each other. So we kind of knew each other from that. And then I moved to like the Southside Slopes area. So I was going to the LA Fitness in Southside and saw him there, just recognized a familiar face, and just started up a conversation. And I had just moved into a house, and he was into architectural design, and saw a picture of it on Facebook, and just, you know, he's like, hey, can I check out your place sometime? And I don't know, we just, again, right away hit it off and realized that we both were very similar in a lot of ways.
Cool.
This was after 5 years of not seeing, like, talking to each other, because it's amazing how small the city is. But the minute you leave a certain area, you may not see that person anymore. And so that's what happened. He moved. I went to a different gym, and we didn't reconnect for like 5 years. So it was kind of funny how it happened, came about again. Yeah, it's ever since that day. After we reconnected, I looked at his house just to check it out. Like, it's been every day ever since. So, yeah.
So what was the concept with, like, of, you know, starting to get into the idea of starting up StudioMe with you guys together?
Well, so like I said, we were looking at just starting any business, and we looked at franchises, and we were like, you know, what do we know about storage facilities or opening a smoothie company? You know, we wanted to stick to something we knew about. And with my background in media content creation, his marketing and architectural design, I've always been interested in the idea of building a space for media and, making it different from what existed at the time, which was, sort of a back alley warehouse that you just walked in and you had to sort of bring all your own stuff, and you paid, over $1,000 a day just for the space.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, if you broke up that space into smaller spaces and kind of made each space specialty, you could sort of have a business, and it built from there. So now we do, we have the workstations, we have rental equipment, and we do the custom media production. So it kind of grew from that idea. It started a little smaller. It was just a sketch on a napkin to start with. And
you still have that napkin?
It's
do somewhere actually.
Yeah, it's actually I think the last time I saw you put it in a drawer somewhere in your house, but
Yeah.
it's actually a scrap piece of paper on like the back end of a completely used
Uh-huh.
notebook.
Uh-huh.
And it was literally just a drawing with one studio, one or two editing stations, and like an entrance.
Uh-huh.
And that was it. And we even forgot to put a bathroom in it. Like it was just like, let's start small, we'll figure it out later,
Uh-huh.
And we quickly realized too, like, who's better at what or who complements each other on what very quickly, because we work fast. And to gain inspiration, his house has an amazing view of all of Southside. So we sat there one evening with a cigar and like a notebook, and we figured out the whole idea of like the bigger idea of the studio in the evening over the cigar. And like we come up with our bigger ideas, like when we just sit there and stare at the city, like what can we do in the city and help out and everything.
Yeah, and too, there's this whole thing where the media is going through a whole revolution, and so I think if you're not ahead of that curve, then you're falling behind. And
Right.
And we also want to help our clients, meet the pace of today's kind of media by making things a little more efficient, reducing some of that friction that they have. Our tagline's Media Made Easy, and so everything we do here, we try to make it just a little bit easier, a little bit quicker, a little bit more affordable for our clients, with the tools and the staff support that we have here. So, we just we took that Media Made Easy concept and thought, how do we do this so it's a little more efficient for everybody?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I mean, as someone that uses the space, is definitely made easy, for sure. How have you guys been able to get help and things like that? Because I believe Darius Chisholm, who was also on the show, was able to help out. So how were you guys able to cultivate those relationships and be able to, find outside resource to be able to help get this off the ground?
Some of it was, like I said, I've had a video company since 2007, so that definitely gave us a jump start with some of my connections. Joe knows everybody in the city, pretty much. We walk down the street, he waves to like 3 or 4 people on the way to wherever we're going. So I think that helped, and I don't know.
I think it's like, I know the show's the 24-hour hustle. Like it was a hustle, like getting involved with everyone in the city any way we could possibly, networking events, things like that. And again, when it came to our partnership together, we quickly realized who was good at what. And Keith doesn't like being in front of people mostly. So that's why he said, I want to sit on the backside of this camera.
Right.
Of this like setup. So, we were just going out there, literally talking to anybody, trying to get our name out there, getting the concept across. And then just bringing them in. Like this place was complete, just like dirt. There was nothing here. This place is completely empty. So we had a blank slate, and all I had was, some renderings and a billboard that we could show people, like, this is what we have. This is our concept. This is the beginning of our website. And that's what it was. It was just being consistent with everyone and getting in front of them over and over again and re-following up with them, asking what they thought. How do they like it? Are you going to come in later? We should talk more. And that's how we built those relationships, and people started seeing that we were serious about it. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And how long has this place been here so far?
The doors opened 1.5 years ago.
Okay. So coming up on 2 years. When's the anniversary?
October 1st would be the 2-year. And the building itself has been here for around 4 years.
Okay.
And so this was like a blank slate essentially underneath for like the commercial real estate part of it. So, but building it and figuring it out, I think it was January 1st of 2016 or 2015 when we were signing papers on the land and everything like that to build upon. So that was a very scary day too, like signing your life away on something like this. It's very exciting, very scary at the same time.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. It's like once you put your name on that, it's like the commitment's got to be there.
You're basically jumping off a cliff and building your parachute.
Yeah.
And again, we started with a much smaller idea, and it kind of grew. But as it grew, we started hearing other opinions, and that's what kind of gave us the confidence. Well, it's funny because even at that time, like some people got it, some people didn't, but the people that got it and gave us the confidence to go through with it.
Mm-hmm. So before actually even, open up the doors, because before, the actually leading up to the point when you did open the doors is probably the best time where you probably learned the most as well. So what were like some of the, fears or the challenges and initial struggles that you guys encountered before opening up the doors, and how did you guys overcome those?
I think it was execution. We knew we had to go big to be taken seriously, so, and we're very realistic as well when we were speaking with each other to figure this out. Like, I know we're shooting for the moon, but you have to be realistic about it and not afraid to go all in. Mm-hmm. But fears are, not making it. If we build this entire place and it just flops, and like, what's next? Like, what are our expectations? And so we had to have like a real coming to Jesus moment or heart-to-heart talk of like, what's going to happen if this doesn't work, and just have to agree, that okay, I'm in it too. If you're in it, then I'm in it. And kind of go as a team through this. There's no, he's by himself, I'm by myself. So
I don't think I slept for the first year. I mean, yeah, and he takes stress a lot better than I do, but it's stressful when you're going through something like this. And I think probably one of the worst days of my life, or not days, but months of my life, was when we actually first opened the space.
Okay.
Because, I mean, not only did we have the normal challenges of opening a space, but we were I had I had 2 trees fall in my house that month. I had a flood run through my property. I had we almost weren't able to open the space because the inspector saw a red flag on something that our architect was blamed for, but then our architect was blaming the contractor, and none of them were willing to fix it. So we were kind of like stuck on our own to try to figure out what it was. But eventually all that got resolved, and we were able to make it through. But it was a terrifying experience, at least for me. I don't know what his experience was like, but for me, I was scared for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so I always have confidence in us because I like to believe that we're smart,
Right.
And I like to believe that if we can handle setting up a studio space like this, like a commercial building, and working with the city to make it work, I think we can overcome a lot of different stuff. So, yeah, the way I handle stress, I always look for like a silver lining in it, even though it might get really crazy and really stressful. And like, we constantly think, well, what if this doesn't work? Then am I sleeping in a car? Or like, what's going here? And, what are people are going to think of us if it doesn't go through? Because, people put us out there and our families put us on this pedestal. It's like, oh my gosh, they're building something amazing, and not being afraid to fail in front of them if it happens,
Yeah, and I tend to do stressful things even if I get stressed about it, just because the failure, everybody talks about failure as being a learning experience. I think a bigger thing is, and like the bigger the failure, the more this works, is the more embarrassing, the more it hurts, the more it drives you the next time you try it. And I'm even though I'm afraid of something, I'm not afraid to do it. I mean, I'm afraid of it, but I just do it anyway. And I think that's kind of part of being an entrepreneur, is you got to do things that make you uncomfortable. I prefer to be behind the camera, but I'm sitting here because you just do these things, and you go through it the best you can, and you learn from it. And if you fail, then the next time you try it, you do everything you can not to go through that painful and embarrassing experience, and so you're twice as driven than the first time you tried it.
Absolutely. One of the biggest things that people are afraid of is just that fear of failure. And when you can actually get comfortable and just understand that it's okay to fail or stumble a little bit and keep going anyway, is where you're actually gonna learn a lot. You're gonna grow a lot more, and you're gonna get comfortable with those situations that you were uncomfortable with.
Yeah, exactly.
And it makes it easier it makes life easier when you do things that are a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit outside of your comfort zone, but you stretch your comfort zone more when you do things that are uncomfortable. Yeah. And I think you guys have definitely been able to do that. I mean, because having your own brick and mortar place can be a scary task. I mean, and we live in the digital age where you can just throw a business up online and just do business that way, but you had another component on there where you have your own place now. You got to bring foot traffic in there, which leads to its own stress in itself. So how has that experience been like for you guys in trying to get foot traffic in there?
I want to say, so I've started a couple of businesses in the past, and some worked, some didn't. The ones that didn't work were typically just because the people that were involved weren't committed enough, and because they didn't have any hook or obligation to. So when you have a brick and mortar space, like you have to, like as soon as you sign that lease, like you have to make it work. And so I think it actually sometimes is better to take that big risk and to really put yourself out of your comfort zone and to commit yourself to something where you're locked in and you can't get out and you have to figure it out because then you have no choice.
Right.
I think also, we like to think that we're changing people's lives too, and our studio managers and people who helped build this place and keep it running with us and for us and everything. There's a bit of a drive on there too to, like, they love this space, they love being here, they're thinking the same way we do, because not a lot of people think that way, and how can they relate to something when they don't own the place themselves. So as far as getting foot traffic in, those guys love bringing their own friends in to check the space out. They love promoting it themselves, just like with us, and we give them this sense of like this empowerment because they own the studio with us. I mean, they're just as attached as we are, and they love that, and we love that they're just enthusiastic as we are and everything. So I mean, it starts with them. They're the front facing of StudioMe when people come through that front door, and we want to make sure our experience from that person stepping through that front door is as easy all the way to the end of the footage being done and edited and out the door again. So it's, for us, foot traffic is a good thing, especially if people don't know what the space is and they come off of the street and they just walk in. Yeah. Like, we want to give them that experience right off the bat. It doesn't matter who it is. If they're just asking for the bathroom, it's still going to be a nice experience, and they come in and ask them what they're here for and everything. So and we rely heavily on our studio managers and people who work with us to keep that experience rolling. So they're our most important part of this place. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know, what are all the things that StudioMe is able to provide to people that are looking for media services?
So we're all things media related, but we really do two things. One is we do custom media productions for the people that want to be totally hands off and just want us to take care of the project for them. And then for the people that are either filmmakers, audio podcasters, like any content creator, anybody who's even like a media enthusiast and wants to use some user-friendly tools and resources, we have studio space like the one we're in. So we have a couple studio spaces for video and photo, and then we have an audio podcast room for something like this, but it would be just voice. And then we have workstations for editing, so you can actually come in and edit your own content, or you could shoot it here and then go sit at a workstation and edit. And then finally we have rental equipment, which can be rented in the studio or taken off-site.
Oh, okay. Cool. So you can pretty much have anybody from your, straight up beginner to somebody that's a pro.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can help you with all the script writing, the creative side of it. If you're looking to bounce ideas off with us or anything, we're that other perspective in on your project or your bigger idea to meet that objective. So we can do that all the way down to the shooting of it and all the way down to editing or picking music out for you or anything like that.
So we also offer free membership.
Okay.
And we were actually looking at our membership statistics, and when you sign up, you have to say if you're novice, intermediate, semi-pro, professional. And I was curious to see, what the breakdown was, and it's basically 25% of each. So it's really across the board. Everybody from somebody who's never created media before all the way up to, we had a Discovery Channel using our space once.
Oh, really?
So
nice.
Yeah, it's kind of a pretty wide range.
Cool. Well, yeah, since you brought that up, what's some of the big clientele that you've been able to bring in here?
I don't know if we could say all their names, but like we have big Fortune 500 companies that come in and use it, and then we go all the way down to solopreneur, that comes in and just wants to create something.
Agent, for instance, they come in and create Meet Your Agent videos, and we've had audio podcasters, photographers,
product shoots for watches or shoes, you name it. If something needs to go out there on video or photo or audio, then we've had those types of people in here.
Fact, like Aaron Watson.
I was just about to mention that.
Aaron Watson,
who was on episode 20, if you don't know.
Yeah, great episode.
Yeah.
And congratulations for being past that 50 percentile, I guess.
Yeah.
And making your way close to the top quartile, I think you were saying in that episode. But so Aaron Watson, he creates YouTube videos. He did a promo for his Going Deep Summit here. And so this space in particular, this is our self-guided studio. And the way this works, I mentioned user-friendly studio spaces. This one's meant for, either novices or intermediates. Even professionals use it too. But it sort of streamlines the process. Everything works from an iPad, so you can everything from taking video to the teleprompter to the lighting to the backdrops. It's all done by touch of a button on a custom app that we developed with a partnering company called Realbotics, and so it this space is used by all different types, and makes it so efficient. We had one. We just redid our homepage video, and there's a testimonial from a law firm that came in and used it, and they got 4 videos done in 2 hours here.
Wow.
And I think they got done early. And I think even Aaron Watson said in his testimonial that he got done quicker than he expected to, because normally this is quite a setup. It takes an hour or two to even get it to where we are already, and you just come in and it's already set up and ready to go.
Press a button.
Absolutely.
Start
So
talking.
again, we're trying to reduce that friction that people have with media and just make it fast and easy and affordable for them.
Absolutely. And that's actually one of the big things that I love about this studio space, is that we can actually just come in, do a quick little setup, maybe take 20 to 25 minutes, and we can get going within a half an hour, 45 minutes.
Yep.
And
you have a bigger setup than most people would. So.
Yeah. And we don't bring in too much. I mean, we have the 2 additional cameras. We use your center camera, and the lighting setup definitely is already in place for us. We utilize the table and the TV we bring in. So, I guess you could say we do bring in a little bit.
Yeah, we bring a lot.
But if we were to try to do all of this on our own, we're talking maybe an hour. So that saves us an hour and a half.
Yeah. And plus, like with this show in particular, you want consistency. So you'd have to, if you tried to do this in an office space, you'd be dealing with doorbells ringing, phones ringing, people talking. And then you have to make sure it was available all the time. And here, all our bookings can be done online, like booking a hotel room. You can see when it's available. Everything's lighting controlled, audio controlled. So there's a lot of benefits to doing it at a place that's meant for it. Plus, you get the staff support. So
absolutely,
we try to come in and help you set up whenever we can. So
well, I definitely appreciate it. I mean, what you guys have been able to do is definitely very powerful and helpful to what we've been trying to do and what we have done and what we're going to do in the future. So with this being episode 21, we're definitely going to be here even more. So we're trying to make it big.
Yeah. We should interview you for 24, I think.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about that. So where do you guys, big ideas for this space? What's the goals that you see this being in the future?
So, we want to franchise this. This is something we think could be produced everywhere that people need to create quick media sometimes, at a high quality rate. And so that's kind of like our 10-year goal type thing, if not hopefully quicker than that.
Yeah.
And just being out there for people to use and make it easy to use, and have these rooms constantly buzzing with work going on and people coming in and creating that content. Even people who have never done it in their life now have an opportunity and a reason to come in to use it. So we're giving other people opportunities. So we just want to see that keep growing over and over, and gain a bigger StudioMe family in a way, and get more people working and editing and helping us out. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so it's also a challenge. I mean, we're a small business that is trying to change consumer behavior, which is very, very difficult and takes some patience. So it'll take some time. We're still figuring this space out. And how to make it better, more efficient. And then when we get, this one running like clockwork, we'd like to open up, a second space in Pittsburgh to make it more convenient for some of the companies that we work with, get closer to their location. So, we're going to do one step at a time, but the ultimate goal is, eventually have this running so well that it can be franchised.
Absolutely. And what made you guys decide to choose the location of East Liberty to hold your business?
We looked at, I think, well over 100 locations all over the city, and I think it was mainly the vibe of this area. We're very much a scrappy startup, and there's a lot of those businesses that are out here, and I think it just made the most sense for what we're trying to do. I see other areas that can make sense too, but fell in love with this building too. I mean, this building was perfect for us. It was the right size. We could start it from scratch with like you said, a dirt floor and design it. Each studio space we actually measured out to just the same amount of space I use with my shoots on location to figure out how much space is actually needed to make sure the subject's enough away from a green screen to not cause shadows, and that how much space you need for all the lighting, the cameras, the crew. the dressing room attached. So I learned a lot from my shoots on location, took that, brought it into the studio, and we were able to actually measure it out so that we're not wasting any space. So again, we're more efficient, and you're only paying and using the space that you need, and we can pack multiple studios in a small space.
I think too the East Liberty community is super tight knit, and they're open minded and they're friendly too. Like we came in, we felt different about this area versus all the other neighborhoods we were in around Pittsburgh in general, like the 5-mile radius type deal, and it just felt right, like sitting right in front on Penn Avenue, and it's like, okay, let's open up shop, and like the people were cool. They were walking in even when we weren't open and saying hi, and they were asking what we were all about and stuff, and people were like, yeah, welcome to the neighborhood, everything. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. You know? So it felt good to like, set some roots up right here. So,
and we're good friends with all the neighbors around us too. So it's definitely a tight knit community.
Yeah, I mean, and they're also just building a lot out in East Liberty. I mean, you just got the smoothie shop that just opened up. You got Paint with a Twist, so it's definitely developing, growing a lot more. As almost kind of, and also you got like Google not too far away. So
Duolingo.
So you got a lot of tech things going on. You got health things, media. So it's like as our world is changing and the way things are moving forward, a lot of those type of businesses are starting to develop and come to the area, which I love, especially media. So with those things coming around, as other people start to come around, you guys are already ahead of the curve. So
I think we were seeing like the 5-year plan a little bit for East Liberty and what's happening next and who's coming in next. So us trying to get in the beginning and be there within the 5 years to really see this place explode. I mean, it's moving so fast. Even it's changed in a whole year since we've been even sitting here, even the half year. So it's always something different, which we really enjoyed. And to us, and there's a plaque out front, and it says the only constant in life is change. And this city keeps changing, and it keeps moving forward. And I feel if you're not changing, then if you stay static and comfortable, then nothing's going to get better or get worse for you. You're in limbo in a way. So that we kind of lived by that, and we saw that East Liberty was moving forward with all these changes. So it's really cool.
What would you guys say is like the biggest lesson you guys have learned in having like your own studio space and having this building?
So many.
Well, it doesn't have to be one.
The biggest lesson, I think, definitely it retaught me patience. I think like we're very much like hurry up and get things done, but sometimes you have to sort of step back from the hustle a little bit to look at the direction you're going and figure out, am I hustling in the right direction, and start thinking strategically, and can I hustle more efficiently, that kind of thing. So I think it's actually, for us, the challenge isn't the hustle, it's the opposite of hustle. It's pulling back a little bit and saying, should we stay the course? Do we need to change? What are our customers saying? How can we do better? All those kinds of things.
I think expectation too. We went into it expecting a ton out the gate, and none of that happened. And so it's pulling that back, like he's saying, pulling back your expectation and customers coming in, anything that's going on, and then having like a plan B just in case if that doesn't work. Like we always have to have another idea in our back pocket just in case if our idea doesn't work the first time around. And just being resilient with that, like a 3-second memory is probably the best thing to have, because we've had some pretty big losses where it's like we ponder and like freak out for like 5 minutes on it, and then you have to like think about the next idea to keep it moving. So expectation sometimes could be like the death of you. So that's a big thing to kind of like balance out, especially going on this path with the studio.
The other thing too is, I don't know if you ever heard of, it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect, where it has to do with your ability and your confidence, and how the people with less ability tend to have more confidence than people that have ability have less confidence. And so I think when we started this out, we were like, oh yeah, we can work really hard and we can make anything work, and so we had that mindset, and that was our confidence being high, but we had never gone through something this big, so we didn't really have the experience. And now that we've had the experience, we're still going through the experience, but now that we have a little more experience, it really puts your ego in check and makes you realize, like, you just gotta stay at it. You just gotta stay on the grind. But it is difficult, and you are gonna face challenges.
Running a business is like getting punched in the face consistently. Literally,
by an 800-pound gorilla.
And we sometimes will find like little graphics or memes and stuff like that online, and there'll be like a bunch of like rocky looking graphs and everything, and it's like you feel good when you start. Oh my God, this happened. Oh, this is great. I can't wait to go to the next thing. Oh my gosh, I wish I'm dead. Oh, the next thing. So we send that back and forth because we know we can relate to it that now because we've gone through it, and a few other gray hairs coming in. Yeah. But it's literally like getting punched in the face consistently over and over again. Whether you think you're doing great or not, the next day could be catastrophic. So yeah,
absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things that I found myself as an entrepreneur too. I mean, it's not all, you know, like an Instagram where it's all like flashy and sports cars and jets and everything like that. It's like, this is real work. This is real hustle. Like, there's definitely going to be challenges where things don't necessarily go your way, or, you know, people fall out, or people don't show up, or people are not as committed and things like that. So that's the life of an entrepreneur when you understand going through those. So I can definitely relate to all of that you guys are saying.
I think too, what we struggled with in the beginning, and we still kind of do, him and I want to be very put together all the time to make sure we're as professional as possible, and all of our work is super clean when it goes out the door. So when we were producing a lot of video content to promote this place, people already thought we were killing it and doing really well, and like, wow, the videos look amazing, you know, because people still think like high quality media is super expensive to create.
Right.
So we were always getting people like, oh my gosh, like when's the next one opening? It's like it like would make us scream on the inside because we don't want to tell them like this is the day in the life of a entrepreneur or a business owner, this type of deal with like a brick and mortar. It's like there's a lot of things going on the back end that they don't see, but you can't show them that, you know. So I think that was our struggle. It's like we look like we've been here for 10 years with all the content we were creating, but we were hardly sleeping and going through certain situations. It's like, man, we really got to make this work. And so it was very interesting seeing like the outside perspective, looking at us and seeing what they thought about us. You know?
And I like, me personally, I love that transparency and knowing what's going on behind the scenes, and also just, you know, being able to connect more on that more so, I feel like, for myself, because I mean that's what the 24-hour hustle show is all about, and that's kind of how I came up with the show, the title, because, you know, there are some days and nights where you're literally working till like 3 a.m. trying to get things off the ground, or you got ideas and things like that, and you literally have to take advantages of as much time as you can to be able to get these things off the ground, because, like, to your point, some people can maybe see it as being real polished, and you got everything going on, but behind the scenes it's like, what am I gonna do? Like, I got contractors that falling out, or I gotta get this up, or, you know. So I definitely feel you there.
It's
one of those things that's it's a struggle, but saying it's a struggle doesn't mean anything to somebody who hasn't experienced it. So I'm sure other entrepreneurs out there know what we're talking about. The people that are looking to be entrepreneurs. It's definitely, I mean, there's plenty of good moments, and it's worth doing in the end. But it's, and, you know, I'm all about the philosophy of I want as many experiences in my life as possible. And, you know, whether this turned out good or bad, it was going to be an experience, and it was something that I wanted to participate in.
I think the experiences we've gone through in the past year and a half of being out there, I couldn't say I even thought about that in my life, like, you know, 4 years ago, of actually doing something, and it opened up so many doors for us in ways that I don't think a lot of people can experience. So, like, we cherish the heck out of that. And saying that you have a business, or saying you had this, but maybe it would fail, maybe it does fail, if something happens, you can say you've done it and you had it, and you can point at that building like, I own that place and I had something really cool there. So it sends me chills up my back sometimes when I drive past a studio and I'm going somewhere, but it's running itself and things are working. And
that has got to be the best feeling.
It's weird because we literally sketched this thing on a piece of scrap paper on the back of a fully used notebook, and now we're sitting in the space 2 years later, and that just like blows my mind. And like, people come in, and there are sometimes clients I don't even know what's going on sometimes, because it's just running and it's just working, and so it's exciting to feel, you know.
And also, you got stories to share, like people like me that take advantage of what was in you guys' mindset at that time. So I'm pretty sure that's a great feeling.
Absolutely.
So really quick, what are some of the things that has developed your guys' mindset? Like, what are some of the things that has helped you get this off the ground, you would say? Or some of the people that have influenced you and things like that?
So for as far as influence,
I think each other for sure.
yeah.
Okay.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, I mean, that was part of my whole motivation of wanting to get in business with Joe in the first place. Is, you know, I wanted somebody to. I had run my own business from 2017 to 2016 when we started coming up with this concept. I think it was even 2015 we started thinking about it. So up until that point, you know, I was kind of doing things on my own, and I just wanted to share that journey with somebody. And Joe's one of those guys, like, if we were in the military and there's a live grenade, he'd be the first to jump on it. Like, he's just that kind of person. And I was like, that's somebody I need to be in business with. And so I think, you know, for this space, that was it. I think for some of the other stuff I'm involved with, my mindset just comes from necessity. I think it's I don't see myself doing it any other way, and you know, work is something I think about. Probably not the healthiest thing, but it's something I think about constantly. Not even I think of my own choice. You know, if I'm trying to just relax and sleep at night, I'm thinking about work, and you know, I think to a certain extent I enjoy it. To a certain extent, you know, it's part of who I am. You know, it is tough doing the work-life balance, but you know, that's something I think I work on too. Is being able to, I'm getting better at it, is being able to kind of separate the two. But,
Awesome.
I think other motivations are people who are doing it around us. I'm going to name drop Lux Pittsburgh, Brent Hughes.
Okay.
He was very inspirational because he was super open to like give us anything we needed to help us start up, you know. And he has a really lucrative and startup kind of business that he started a few years ago, and it just felt good that people knew what we were going through and they were able to help out. So that was like super inspirational, and to help us drive is like, well, if he's helping us, like I can't fail now, you know. And yeah, I think it's, you know, our families like being patient with us too about this, and like listening to us talk about these crazy ideas and like going through with it, you know, rather than just like accepting our 9-to-5s or whatever and just doing that, you know. We could have easily gone that route, you know, but that's super inspirational to us. And yeah, if he's falling, I'm falling too. If he's growing, I'm growing, and it's vice versa. Like we, you know. And
there's been times when he's been down, and I try to do my best to like pick him back up. Same vice versa. Yeah, it's and you know, I'm married to somebody who's a nurse, and her like I can't even complain about my day because, you know, my worst day is a hard drive fails or something, and her worst day
we know about that life.
Yeah, her favorite patient passed away or something, and that's like, you know, that's a bad day for her. So I can't even compare it to what she does. So there are people I think that have much more honorable, I guess you can call it honorable jobs than what we have. But yeah, I think for us, you know, we wanted to build our lives a certain way, and we're kind of willing to do and have whatever mindset it takes to get to that goal.
Absolutely. So for any struggling entrepreneurs out there, what would you say is like some of the biggest things that would help them maybe overcome some of their challenges and running maybe a brick and mortar store?
I mean, huge thing for us was surrounding yourself around people who think the same or are smarter than you. I know they always say you always want to be like the dumbest person in the room type deal, but other than that, you want to surround yourself with people who have ideas. So if you're going through a mental block, and if you know anybody who's a struggling entrepreneur that's really trying to make it, sit around the people who are making it and are doing it, and what are they doing that you're not doing, and then just befriend them, you know, just like, or just take them out to coffee. We've done that plenty of times before. We'll just take really successful people out just to talk and to BS with them. It's like, what are you doing? How is it working? We can't see it right now, but like, how are you going about it? We've been trying to do it once a month, or once every other month. We try to get a few of the local entrepreneurs and have a cigar night, and we just get together and we literally talk about what's working, what isn't working. David Allen is one of the guys who comes out with us.
Yeah, he was on the show.
Yeah. And we just speak, and something that might be successful to them would work for us, and it's worked before. Brent from Lux, he did the same thing for us one time, and it really helped us like get past like this struggle of the way we were quoting things, you know, the way he does it. So a scenario to them that's always been working, that's nonchalant to them, might be like earth-shattering to us, like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that, you know, even though we're coming from different industries. So I would say surround yourself with people where you want to be. And that's what my thing was with him. Like, I wanted to be just as successful as him, so I needed to stay around and have that mentality 24/7. So,
Right.
I think you need to have fundamentals that are something that you truly believe in and will stand by. Everything else, just listen to people that are smarter than you, to your customers, to everybody, and sort of boil that down and figure out like what is the actual truth and what's the path that I should go to. There are plenty of people that I talked to about this concept that doubted it from the start, but it was the one thing that I stuck by and I believed in. And then, but as to all the little details about we were talking about the clock before we started. Adding a clock to the room. Just listening to what people want and trying to help your customers, because ultimately a business is just a transaction between the customer and the business owner. And so if you don't know if you could be an entrepreneur, if you can't go up to a stranger and try to like sell them something, then I don't know if entrepreneurship's for you. It's not necessarily about the all the other fun things that you see on YouTube videos and whatnot. It just comes down to make like having something of value that you can bring to a customer and that they're willing to pay for to fuel your business.
Absolutely.
If you're afraid of change and you don't want to work for it, then being an entrepreneur is not your thing. Definitely not your thing.
Right.
So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So as we get closer to wrapping up here, where is the best place people can contact you guys?
We have the website, StudioMe.me. You can go to the website there. We're on Facebook at StudioMe LLC. We're on Instagram a lot, occasionally on Twitter. But yeah, mainly more Facebook, Instagram that we're on and being active on. So.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and then we're right on 5819 Penn Avenue in East Liberty, right next to the Clean Juice, Orange Theory, Painting with a Twist. We're all in that little cluster right there. So
nice.
Little family.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then just something different that we're actually doing in the show here is like, what's a challenge that you would propose to anybody that's watching this episode that may be aspiring to want to be a photographer or get in the video or maybe start their own podcast or be an entrepreneur? What's a challenge that you would say, maybe one each or one total? What would you say is like a challenge to someone that you would give to them if they're watching this episode?
I think they should go out and if they want to be media content creator, go out and create some content, no matter what it is. And I'm sure they've heard that advice before, but it's the truth. I mean, when I was first starting, I did any project I could get my hands on just to learn more. And you, again, that Dunning-Kruger effect, like you think you know until you do it, and then you're like, oh, I don't know. But I think people are afraid to do that because they know it's going to sort of be a little bit of a kick to their ego.
Yeah.
And they're worried about failing and actually seeing themselves for who they are. But I think you really have to do that. You have to really know your strengths and your weaknesses, but also know that everything is a learning process, and you're never going to just be good at something right off the bat. Everything takes experience, and so the more experience you can get, the better.
Right.
I guess I would challenge them to dedicate a few hours a week onto something they really want to get into, like content creation, being, you have to put that in your daily grind, and you have to put that in your schedule. So if it requires you to put a couple more hours into your night or get up a little bit earlier in the morning so you can get into it and get used to it, I would challenge people to do just a couple more hours a week on something they want to get into like that.
Commit to it and then have patience too, because I think, like I said, I was impressed that you've done so many episodes, because we get a lot of people that come in and they'll do a podcast or two and they're like, oh, it's not working. I don't have 1 million followers yet.
Right.
It takes patience and takes commitment.
Yeah.
You are a true hustler.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I put a lot of content out
Yes,
there as
you
much
do.
as possible.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, like I said, even going back to the beginning of when we started this episode, when I first came in August and I was like, yeah, I'm trying to start up this podcast, you guys were probably like, okay, yeah, sure. I've heard this before.
Yeah.
But that, I know for me, that motivates the hell out of me. It's like when somebody doubts me or say, oh, no, I don't really believe it. It's like, okay, I'm going to push that much harder. And then 6 months down the line, I want you specifically to see it and to be like, he actually is pulling it off. So one of the things, a challenge that I would put out there from what I got out of this conversation, one of the biggest things that I've learned is just being able to associate with the right people. So one of the challenges that I would let down is go to one networking event that's happening this week. Could be in business, could be in entrepreneurship, could be in tech, could be whatever it is. If there's something that you're interested in, go to a networking event. Just go to one, check it out, see what the vibe is like, and go learn from other people that are doing things outside of your comfort zone. So that's the challenge that I would put out there. Go to one networking event and just do that, and leave comments and what you got out of it, and give us some feedback and see how you felt about going to that. So
or host a networking event.
Or host a networking event. Yeah, I actually plan on doing that next in the future. Maybe putting one of my own together. So
awesome.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. So Keith, definitely appreciate you for coming on to the show. Joe,
thanks,
definitely
Anthony.
appreciate the opportunity. So now that we know what Joe and Keith does with their 24 hours, I want to know what you do with your 24 hours. Definitely leave a comment down below, subscribe, turn on notifications, and we will see you on the next episode.